You would have thought someone would have warned us. Someone would have warned us that our new 20-pound fur-covered bundle of joy in just a few short months would morph into a 140-pound force of nature. I mean, imagine looking back on things. We probably were blinded by love, I suppose. We totally missed the clues along the way. Misha's grandmother was at least that large. But strangely enough, the breeder was totally silent on this topic. My mom thought we were crazy bringing this dog home, but we were in love. This was a stunner. This was a beautiful dog. And as BJ pointed out last week, what's life unless it's a great adventure, right? So we paid the breeder her fee, loaded our newborn into the back of the car, where, I might point out, she just stayed for exactly 30 seconds, and proceeded home. She rode the entire way home that February morning, perched on my back, head hanging out the window, nose to the wind. Mr. Toastmaster and fellow Toastmasters, from early on, we became acutely aware of the impact that Misha was going to have on our lives. It was a great adventure. Northern dogs really impact their environment. They cast a huge shadow. Every July, these northern dogs would completely blow their coat. And by blow, I don't mean blow, I mean they would literally explode. They're like chemo patients. We'd take them out to the backyard and we would brush and brush and brush. We'd pull huge clumps of fur off of her back. There was no grass to be seen, just mounds of fluff, mounds of down everywhere. The birds loved having her in the neighborhood. I mean, they would swoop down when it was safe, and they'd get big clumps of this in their mouth, and they would jam their nests just as full as they possibly could. Oftentimes in the fall, we would see these abandoned nests. They must have smelled horrible when it rained, but they're crammed to the rafters. I have no idea where the chicks would go. Another common trait of a northern dog is that they would try to be the alpha. Didn't matter whether it's alpha male or alpha female, they would just want to dominate. You know, the leader of the pack. The problem was that Misha, she had no fellow dogs, no kennel mates really, apart from her family. Her kennel mates were myself, Daphne, my kids friends. I still remember Glenn Allen. He was walking across the deck with this terrified look on her face, and Misha had both of her huge paws resting on her shoulders as she was riding him across the deck. He was horrified. So clearly we had to deal with this, and I read up a little bit on it, and the way you do this is, apparently, is you take the dog, you stare it down, and if it doesn't submit, you're supposed to bite it. Took about 20 minutes, she challenged me. I grabbed that dog by the cheeks, I stared it down, she stared back, I stared it down some more, she stared back, and then I bit her ear until she yelped. I spit fur for about 2 weeks. Remember that chemo baby? This happened in July. That's crazy. Dogs as well, too, they tend not to get along with rodents. I mean, they're very nice. I mean, they're very friendly. I never had to worry about having our kids taking food out of their mouth or anything like that. She was just completely okay with that. She's more of a party animal than anything. But rodents, she's really OCD. I remember coming home from work quite often, and our woodpile would be completely unstacked. I imagine she saw something run into the woodpile. I can imagine this poor rat that's just waiting there for this last piece of wood to be pulled away before it was doomed. She'd oftentimes would sleep underneath a pear tree, where she treated a squirrel one day. She stayed under there for 3 days. 3 days. And on that third day, I woke up in the morning, and there was this really super flat trophy perched very proudly on her back doorstep. But with kids, she was totally fine. One day, my friend Dale came home. I came home from work. He'd been staying with us for about 6 months or so. He met me in the driveway, and he said, "Kevin, there's this thing that you have to deal with in the backyard." I thought maybe she saw a bug across the grass and she excavated it. I've seen her dig before, and those big mitts can really move a lot of dirt in a hurry. I went to the backyard to explore a little bit, and I was horrified. There was this mound of white fur, and it wasn't hers actually. It was, unfortunately, a 2-year-old male cat, completely wet, not breathing very well. Not breathing at all, actually. I didn't know what happened because Misha was such a gentle creature. She really loved her environment, and the only thing I could figure out is perhaps maybe what had happened is that she was walking across the fence, the cat was, and fell off and suffered this massive head injury or something, and Misha was running over trying to revive it or something, and then I guess it didn't happen. That's when Dale happened upon her. So I didn't really know exactly what to do, so I thought about going door to door and seeing if I could find the owner. And I was just a little bit worried, really, because I thought, Misha's selfless act of kindness would be mistaken for clear ill intent. And then my friend Dale suggested, well, Kevin, Misha, I lost lots of pets when I was a kid, and I really didn't know what happened to them. And maybe that's what should happen to this poor soul. So I rather guiltily got out the shovel and kind of like Bonnie and Clyde disposing of a robbery victim, we gave it a fitting burial in our backyard, Daphne and I did. And then the next day on the way home, I was sort of morbidly mused to Daphne and said, wouldn't it be horrible if we got home and there was this poster in our mailbox, a flyer looking for the missing cat? And it wasn't actually until we got most of the way home that I realized just exactly how disproportionate my fear was, because the flyer wasn't actually in the mailbox. It was on the mailbox. And it was on the telephone pole outside of our driveway. And it was on every single telephone pole up and down Happy Valley Road, about a mile in each direction. And the poster read, lost. One male cat went missing Friday night. White Persian, answers to the name of Charlie. We miss him dearly. Please call. I couldn't call. I was just far too chicken, so Daphne called instead. Like most pets, we tend to think that they'll live forever. 16 years Misha was with us, and we forget that they fall for the same ailments that we commonly do all too often. And one Saturday evening I came home and I saw Misha. She was standing up on our back deck and she was kind of propped up against a post, and she was clearly in pain, and not just like pain, but that excruciating pain, when the visceral pain, the pain that when something is seriously wrong. And she was just standing there, she couldn't sit at all. So I helped her into the car and we brought her down to the vet. And we waited quietly in the waiting room for the diagnosis. And the vet quietly called us in and showed us the x-rays. It was cancer. Our once formidable 140-pound beautiful dog, and that was just being ravaged by it. And someone said that it's not the things that happen that you worry about that you need to worry about, but it's the things that happen that blindside you on those Tuesday afternoons out of the blue. And it's true, isn't it? And that Tuesday afternoon, Misha passed away. That's surrounded by her 16-year-old kennel mates of 16 years old. And looking back on her life, it's just amazing how much color she had to ours. She was a constant companion. She was a friend. She's always happy to see me after work. She was a class clown. She was the problem child. She was the black sheep of the family. She was the drunken uncle in the attic. But she was also my friend. And like Charlie the cat, we miss her dearly too. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thanks for sharing this with us, Kevin. Let's take 1 minute to provide some feedback on these little feedback forms for Kevin.